He's a songwriting genius, a hit maker, a father, a recording artist. Stay tuned for Papandu, the songwriter. Ndumiso Manana, Papandu. Sawubona ba.
Hey, my brother, sakubona now.
Yo. So I think we go back. The first time I saw you was at least 23 years ago at the Harry Green studio.
Yo, that was. I remember we were working with what's his name?
Bongo.
Yes, and Afro Trucky. I was still one dealer.
Oh no. Yeah, and he was very much young.
Yeah, still very young. Yeah, still very young. Yeah.
So that's how far back I go with you, and there are people interested to know who's Papandu. I know a lot of them. They know who you are.
Yeah.
But again,
hey.
Tell them who is Papandu.
I'm reminded of this old man who said, "Mabambuta question there, what's Papandu? What's him?"
Well, fair enough.
Yeah. Hey, man, I don't know where to start. I'm a Christian first and foremost. I'm a born again Christian. I'm a family man, a husband, a father to 3 kids. I'm a songwriter, kakhulu, and manje sengi-author. I've written a book, my first book, and I'm also a music producer. You know, I've produced a number of gospel artists, especially from here in Mpumalanga. I think that's about it. Yeah.
So to cover such a journey, and you mentioned a whole lot of things, we'll go back to each and every one of those. To actually cover that journey, it should have started somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, we started. Okay, I'm from a very not that musical family, but in my family there were a lot of people who, either guitarists or my aunt used to play the accordion, and my sisters were good vocalists. It's just that back then, being a collector, you can record. Hey, you must sing in church. So, and my sisters were talented. I think they should have they should have taken this thing in music maybe serious. So I'm from such a family, and my dad used to love gospel music. So he used to buy a lot of gospel music. Like in his car, it was only gospel. And when I say gospel, I mean local gospel music. Mfundisi Shoba, Maphoyisa Solundi, Derek Zimande, so that's all we grew up listening to, especially Muruti Shoba. Like I knew all his songs, and I'm happy that my dad used to buy a lot of Muruti Shoba's music, because I think that's the music that shaped me. Even till this day, when I write songs, I like to go back to what I used to listen to growing up,
the influences.
And so I remember in my youth I got exposed to the keyboard. I always tell people this story that I learned the keyboard by chance.
Yeah, wow.
It's not like it's something that I wanted. I didn't even know. I remember there's a guy whom I lost contact with back in 94, and only found him this year when I released the book, because I started looking for him, because I said, this is a guy who is the one who sowed the seed. Sowed the seed, a keyboard, and everyone else who came after him, they were like, they were watering the seed, but he was the one. His name is a pastor, Veli Masego. So this guy, what he did, he came with a keyboard. I think we were 3 or 4 of us. 3.
Yeah.
Came with a keyboard, and he put it in front of us, and he said, okay, this is the keyboard. And he was not even sure how to play it, but
So
I think
he could not play.
he could not play. So
Wow.
somebody showed him a chord or 2 chords, and he was showing us, this is how you hold it. This is how you. And the 2 guys I was with were like they were catching up faster than me. And funny enough, if we bring them now,
Yeah, I wanted to say, I wonder where they are.
I don't think they'd even. I think that was the last time they touched the keyboard back then. So, and then I remember that Percy Ingle, Percy Ingle.
Yes.
We were going to the same church back then. I think Apostolic Faith Mission in Ganyamazan, and Percy already was playing.
Yes.
And then we started a choir. And Percy was our keyboard player. I was just singing in the choir. And then, so because the choir started attracting a lot of young people from the township. So the church, because we started it in church, so the church felt now this choir is becoming more of a community choir than a church choir. Then they wanted us to, they wanted him, because Percy was our leader. They said, no, you know what, either you cut all the people who are not from this church, or
You bring them in.
yeah, oh no, you cut them out, or the choir stops. So we had to choose what do we do. So Percy, unfortunately, because his parents were leaders in the church, they had to, Percy and his siblings and the other guys, they had to come out of the choir. So we were left with the choir, because we said we'd rather continue the choir and leave the church.
Wow.
So we left the church.
Hey, young people, radical.
Yeah, we were radical. We left the church. We said, we'd rather leave the church.
Yeah.
But they missed out on a very good opportunity to win all those young people to the church, because most of them were not coming from churches. So when they left, we were stuck. Now we have a choir, we have a keyboard, the instruments we do have, but we don't have anyone who can play. So that's when I went back to what this guy showed me, and I started trying to figure it out. And guess what? By the end of that month, I could play at least one song. So the choir then, that's the only song we could rehearse, because that was the only song I could play.
So they have to stick to the one that you know until you learn the next one.
Exactly. So, and then, from there it started growing, this thing. Fortunately, also because of the choir, we got to listen to your Shelley Caesars, your James Cleveland, and I think you learn faster when you learn to play such music, because the chord structure of a song, it's more than 3 chords.
Oh yes.
Unlike playing the 1-4-5, the normal 1-4-5,
Yes.
That helped us to there's a friend of mine, he passed away. His name is Tamingwenya. That guy is the guy who groomed even your Stelo Moya. If you go to Stelo Moya and talk about his history, this name Tamingwenya will come up. And he's the guy who also helped me a lot. He was not good. He was not that good, but he could understand. When you listen to a song, he could understand
Also,
the
he could
notes.
analyze.
And say, okay, I think it sounds like this. I think this chord sounds like, and then we'll sit the whole night, me and him, trying to figure out songs. That's how this thing came up. And through that choir, it was called Imperial Sound. And it used to, in the early 90s. And through that choir, then we met, we met Bishop Benjamin Dube, through that choir. And, the rest is history.
So you did learn by chance.
Yeah, it's not something that I, deliberately decided to go and, learn.
I went to school with a guy called, it was TNT back then, it's TUT now, with a guy called Bongani Msibi.
Yes.
So he would always say, man, you should, because I was playing in the worship team there.
Yeah.
So he always said, you should meet Ndumiso, man. And so according to him, no, me and you were sort of identical. According to him, he's also a worshipper like you, man. So he always spoke about you and Tito.
Oh, yeah, Tito.
And
Tito
then
the
Tito
drummer.
came to join
Oh,
us.
yes, yeah.
I think a couple of years later,
Yeah.
Tito came to join us. So he actually mentioned you to say, no, look, this guy, really, you need to meet Ndumiso. Back then, I'm sure you were not Papandu.
Yeah, no. Okay, I'll tell you later where the Papandu name came from.
Yeah.
Remember, back then, there were not, like here, there were not a lot of keyboard players. You could count. In fact, even in most churches, they struggled. I remember that before I joined my church, there's one church, in fact, I talk about that story in the book.
Yeah.
There's one church who they approached me. They didn't have a keyboard player, and they asked me to come and help them. So I used to go there. Well, they used to fetch me from home to the church. I was still a young boy, and but the mistake they did, which I don't know whether they were aware, every Sunday morning there was somebody who's coming to fetch me at home, but after church no one would take me back home. Then that's the only thing that made me not to stay in that church. Just because of that these guys, when they need me, they know
when
where
they're done with you, they
so,
didn't care.
So back then, and because of our choir, like I was telling you, we started exploring, with this, we called it contemporary gospel.
Oh, yeah.
Back then,
this, I think it was emerging, early 90s.
Yes, yeah. So, hey, if you play like that, then, hey, everyone will say, hey, this guy can play. And I look at it now, and I'm thinking, what is it actually that we were doing that would make people think we are playing better than the other guys?
No, but
it's those minor chords that we were playing that people were not playing.
Look, I think this music thing evolves.
Definitely.
I think how we sort of understood playing back then.
Yeah. Versus
what's happening now.
Yeah.
I don't think we worked as hard as we're trying to work now.
And you must appreciate the fact that we laid the foundation.
Oh, no, of course.
Yeah, we laid the foundation. I look at the boys that are playing now. Now you've seen my set. I bring all these young people on my set because I understand that now is their time. I can't compete with them. All I need to do is to guide them. When we sit in the studio with some of these boys and he'll be playing, and I say, okay, that chord, we'll use it later. For now, let's rather take it this way,
But you're a producer, don't forget.
Yes,
you create.
But I'm trying also to say to them, it's not everything that you know that you must.
Not all that energy should go into one song.
Into one song,
yeah. Wow. So look, I always say to myself, I think I served in a church, especially just one single church, for the longest time. And then I see you, I'm like, no, I'm still good. So how was your journey, man, and how long have you served at CoTH?
I joined the church in 1995. Well, I had been part of. I used to visit the church before that, but in 1995 I took a decision to join. And I remember that I'm not going to disclose everything, but I was in another church, and so our group, our choir, that choir I was talking about earlier, we were almost like adopted into a church, and then since I was a leader in the choir, I automatically started becoming a leader in the church indirectly. I could see that this thing, it's like it's going, and I'm not ready for that. So I ran away. I left the choir.
You didn't want to be a deacon.
No. It was too early. I was still young, and I could see that this is a huge responsibility. And I was fine with leading the choir, because you only deal with music. You don't deal with people. You don't deal with issues.
Counseling.
Yeah. So, and then the only church I could go to was CoTH, and I'll tell you why. In fact, some of the things I talk about in the book. The Apostle MVG Lipoko, who is my father, and when I say he's my father, in a true sense of the word, he's my father.
I know that. Yeah.
So when we were still in that choir, because most of us in that choir didn't belong to any church, which made a lot of people not to like us because we didn't submit to any church. We were just a group, almost like we were a small church of our own, and but we were powerful, and so people used to invite us, even though they didn't like us that much.
Yeah.
So we used to visit CoTH. Back then it was still called Agape.
Agape, yes.
So we would visit.
I mean, Agape.
Yeah, we're going to say Agape.
The course manager.
So this one time we visited the church, and Apostle, out of all the people, he picked me, and he prayed for me, and he prophesied, upon my life, and he said a lot of nice things to me, which it was something that I had never experienced before, and at that time I needed to hear such words, to encourage me. So when it was time for me to decide which church to go to, it was
a no-brainer.
Yeah. So then I came to CoTH, and coincidentally, Elder Soli Matsebula, Kiz's dad,
yes, okay,
is the one who used to play the keyboard in the church.
Oh.
So, and he had to go overseas, for studies, and they needed a keyboard player. And coincidentally, it was a time when I also wanted to come here. So I took over from him.
Okay.
And that was 95. Okay. And I never looked back.
Wow.
Like I'm always on that stage, except when I'm not around.
Wow.
Like today I was there, like since 95 I've been.
Wow.
And a lot of people will ask you, don't you want to retire? I always tell them, hey man, our callings are not the same.
They're not the same.
Calling him never spoke anything about retirement. I know I'm still going to retire when I go to the grave, but as long as I'm still alive, if I'm still strong enough to go and play, I'll do that. And which is one of the reasons why I ended up writing this book, which is in front of us.
Yes.
Those are the reasons, because I felt, people need to understand why we do what we do. Because people will be asking you, why stay in one church for so many years? I remember when I was in Pretoria, when I did my, music production studies, I would see the boys there every Sunday. They'll be, running around in
hopping from one.
And to them, and they would ask me, why are you not joining us, man? We're making money. In one Sunday, 5 churches, even if they pay you 1,000 rand, every Sunday you've got 5K. It's a reasonable amount, and I would either drive down to come here to church, or I'll just sit in my room in where I was staying, and not go, because I felt, for me, church is not just about me playing the keyboard. I need to be in a church where I'll also be nourished spiritually.
Yes, it's home.
And already I do have a home. So why run around?
Hop, church hopping, exactly, as they call it. So now you have been producing albums for people. You have been very resourceful to many people out there who wanted their music recorded, and you wrote songs, I believe, for them.
Yeah, I've written songs for a lot of.
I used one of your songs in one of my productions.
I saw it and I said, "This guy, why is this guy using my song?" I saw it, and I loved it. Actually, it's on my playlist. Wow. That's the song I played. Wow. I like the way the band interpreted the song.
So don't worry, I notified the collecting society that it's your song.
Okay.
Everything comes to you.
Yeah.
Everything comes to you.
Yeah.
But then, what makes you decide, no man, as Papandu, I want to record my own works?
It was a combination of two things. Okay, I've always wanted to do something like that, but I was not brave enough.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah, because I like we're saying now, I've written songs for people, and you find that in most cases, you give somebody a song and they don't allow you to come and produce the song
Oh,
for them.
yes, yes, yes,
They
yes.
just take your song and record it, and they'll do it
They
the way.
paint it.
Yeah, and you feel, no, that's not where I wanted the song to go, but you can't. There's nothing you can do. So I felt, you know what, maybe if I do an album initially when we started in 2015. With the help of my wife, of course, she's the one who actually pushed me to do it. And then I said, okay, I'm just going to record an instrumental album where I'll just get a choir to do the backing, but the songs will be led by either a saxophone or a guitar or a trumpet, or you know. So it was a semi-instrumental album. So we started working, and then and we did all the songs. And we invited one guy to come for a listening session. So this guy, we played a song, and then he says to us, can we try a lead singer on this particular song? And then we, my friend Jakes is the one who was recording the album. And then invited his friends, Redeemed. They did the song. And when I listened to the song, I said, no, let's get singers for all the other songs. It sounds like it's nicer with singers. So, and that's the song I won the crown with, that one.
Which was the first
the
or
one,
the fifth crown? Because I mean, you've
well,
got like
the very first crown award, the song I did with Redeemed. That's the song that won me that award. Yeah. And then I started inviting, people that I have worked with, the likes of Putuma, Nezimu, Tibelo Sukwini, and of course, the saxophonist Ayo Solanke.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So we did that album in 2015. And we released it. Initially, I didn't even want to release. I just wanted to hear how it will sound. Where I'm the one who's deciding how the song should go. And also, I wanted for people to actually go to the album and choose their own favorites. So if they want to record it, they get it from there. At least they'll know the actual idea behind the song.
Behind the scenes, sorry to disturb you. So guys who work behind the scenes, we always just generous about the spotlight. So I mean, I'm listening to you say, I just wanted people to hear, maybe they can pick one.
But that's what I wanted, because I never imagined myself as a performing artist. Because I'm not a singer. I always tell people, I was telling the choir yesterday at rehearsal, I said to them, I wish God can take your voices and give them to me, because I see that you guys, you can sing, but you don't know what to do with your voices. So I don't sing. I wish I could at least sing like Kirk Franklin. He also says he can't sing, but I think he's much better than me. But, so...
well, I heard you sing. I think Kirk can get a run for his money.
I look up to him. I admire his confidence.
His courage,
his confidence. So we after releasing that album, then there was a demand for us to perform the songs.
Because the music is out.
Like I started getting invites, and I felt, now then it means I must do a live, because that one was a studio project. Then we must do a live version. So you remember we did a show. We wanted to record that show, the way I invited you guys.
Yes.
That was going to be a live version of the studio project. But, things didn't go according to plan. There were technicalities. We couldn't release the album. I still have some of the songs, and they were nice. And I thought about forcing matters, because I'm very passionate in studio. I'm very passionate when it comes to editing. Like, I can make something that was not there to end up working. Wow. So I had an opportunity to work on the album until I released it. So I worked on one song. I worked on it until it sounded like, and it was nice. And I felt, but it took a lot of effort to make it to sound like this. If I have to do that to 15 songs, and I felt now maybe it's not the right time to release like a live album. So I decided to shelve it, and then we did the recording at the Lyric Theatre in 2020.
Yes.
And that recording, when we went to the Lyric Theatre, if you remember, we recorded on the 29th of February. And mid-March, there was lockdown.
There was a family meeting.
Yeah. And I remember that when I the idea to do the recording, now, first of all, I didn't have the budget for it, but I wanted, like, I felt something very strong, you must record. And I went to the, I checked the calendar. I realized the 29th is a Saturday and it's a leap year.
Yeah.
29th and it's a Saturday. Yeah, it's a perfect. So I phoned Lyric Theatre. I checked if the date is available. They said, yeah, the date is available. I said, okay, I want that date. They told me how much I must pay for a deposit, and I didn't have.
Yeah.
I said, okay, what do I do? I started telling people, I'm recording on the 29th at the Lyric Theatre, just telling people.
Wow.
And one guy says to me, hey, I'm going to buy tickets for 10K because I want to support you. I said, hey, I need that 10K now. Do you have that 10K? If you have, I'll give you the tickets later, but give me that 10K.
Wow.
So, and the deposit was more than 10K actually. I then took the 10K, I paid, I said, keep the 10K, I'll come back with the other.
So you showed commitment.
Yeah. And come to think of it now, had I not done that recording in 2020, before COVID, because my show ended up being one of the very few shows of 2020.
Yes, I remember.
Because I know a lot of people had planned shows after February.
Those cancellations all the way.
Yeah. So, and I doubt had I cancelled that show, I doubt if I would have, the courage I had back then, if I would have gone for another, recording afterwards.
Yeah.
So it was God for me. It was God who was pushing me to do that recording in 2020.
Wow.
And it came out beautifully. We had, the likes of Margaret Mutsache, Mabongi, Putuma is always there, Makabane, it was a beautiful, Ayanda Shange. It was just such a beautiful show. And, we never looked back from there. And like I said, initially, I never planned to be a performer. I'm still learning this performing thing, singing. No,
you're doing good, brother. So, guys, it's there on YouTube. It's on TV. His music is on TV. So, please just check him out. He's a good performer.
I'm still learning. I'm getting there. Yeah. When you're used to being behind the scenes for a long time. When it's time for you to now face the audience and talk to them. Yeah. The one we recorded this year, which is the third album. Yeah. I think for me, I enjoyed it more than all of the other
You're loosening up.
Yeah, I can actually see, this thing, I'm getting used to it. So we were doing volume 3. Mm-hmm. When you do volume 4, you'll see. Now I'll start jumping around like Cake Franklin.
Wow.
Yeah, but
now let's talk about the awards, man. Let's talk about the awards because it's important. Look, I can imagine doing something and not being appreciated. I'm sure the first appreciation would be your family saying, "Oh, this is so nice," and maybe the people around you. But to have the entire accolade, man.
Yeah, man, it's an amazing feeling. You were there in 2016 when I won the first award. That was my very first award, and I entered and. Well, I didn't enter to win. Mm-hmm. I said, let me try this thing and see. But I'll tell you a story around that. Yeah. There was a guy when we were there who said to me before the event started. He said to me, "Hey man, don't be worried. You sometimes you enter first time, second time, third time, and not get anything. Maybe by the fourth time." And this guy is saying this. We are on the same category, me and him. I'm competing with him. So
he's trying to say you don't stand a chance.
Yeah, it was almost like, don't worry.
Wow.
So when they called my name, I was surprised. I didn't expect it. Wow. I didn't expect it at all. But it gave me so much confidence afterwards. Also, obviously, it opens a lot of doors for you, because even people who are not aware, they start, who is this guy? Even radio stations. I got after that win, I got a lot of phone calls for interviews.
Wow.
Radio stations that I had struggled to secure interviews. So it made life easy. And then after that, then you get used to this thing.
Wow. Look, so I think it's fitting for a person who's had a journey such as yourself to write a book, The Church Musician. Well, I'm still to get my copy and read it probably today.
Yeah.
But talk to us about this book, man.
Yeah, this book, I started writing it in 2020. During COVID, we were all stuck at home, and we had a lot of time on our hands.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've always wanted to do, to write a book, because like we were saying, a lot of people would ask you, "No, you're still in that church?"
Yeah.
And why? What made you to stay for so many years? And so in the book, I wanted to share about the things that I did that made me to stay, and the things that my church did.
Yeah.
Because the relationship is two ways.
Oh yeah, true.
And a lot of pastors, actually, when you go to social media and read, you'll see that there's this fight. There's this war that is between musicians and pastors. It's a cold war that's happening. And sometimes you look at the arguments there, and you feel, man, this is a very small thing, and they can't. And I always put more blame on the pastors. And unfortunately, I'm going to say this with all humility and respect to the pastors, but I'm saying the reason why I'm saying this is because the pastor is almost like your father. Is a father figure. So between a son and a father, if the son and the father are fighting, the one who is more senior or mature is the one who needs to manage the situation.
I hear you.
Most musicians are frustrated. Most musicians are frustrated, and the reason why they are frustrated is because we love this thing so much. And I can tell you now, any musician, whether keyboard player or drummer, I look at the boys I play with in the church. The moment you put the instrument in front of him, he forgets about everything. He just wants to.
That's home.
The moment he sees a drum, if he's a drummer, he wants to go on that thing and just start playing. That's all we want to do. But there's a life outside of me playing the keyboard. There's life outside of that. And I feel in most cases, some of the things I've tried to address in the book, in most cases, the people who are supposed to actually, and this is what my pastor, my apostle did, which made me to, get stuck, to him like that, is that he identified the potential, he identified the passion, and he said, the first thing he did, you know what he did? I'm not going to tell you the story behind, but
by the book.
What happened was that, like I told you, I was a young man playing the keyboard in the township, talented, but being a young man in a township has got its own challenges.
There's a whole lot.
And because I didn't have a role model, because my dad was not staying with us; he was staying in Joburg. Those.
Back in the day, that's how it. That was a setup.
So I did a lot of things that young boys in the township do.
Of course.
And at some point, I ended up getting arrested. So when I came back, one of the things Apostle did, I was still not part of the church. He requested that I come and stay with him at his house.
Wow.
So I went and I stayed at his house for 2 years. So he asked me, what is it that you want to do in life? So the first thing he did was to take me to school to do my matric. Literally, he would drive me in the morning to school and fetch me. And esikoleni besiphuma ngo-10 ebusuku. He would drive me in the morning, fetch me after school ebusuku, literally every day. And esikoleni I would be doing funny things. Bang suspend when I was a rascal. Yeah, and obviously being so he's like my parent. He's the one who's paying the school fees. So they'll phone him. Yeah, your son is doing 1, 2, 3. You'll have go to attend parents meeting, disciplinary meetings and stuff like that. And I reminded him when we were launching the book. I said to him, Apostle, not even once. The things that they were telling him about, the things that I was doing at school, not even one day where he said to me, sit, I want to talk to you.
Wow.
Yeah, you are a disappointment. You are embarrassing me. Wow. Not even once. I remember this one time they had expelled or almost suspended us from school because of we had a fight and people were stabbed and stuff like that. So we were suspended. So they called us. I mean, they said you're only gonna come here with your parents. So I had to bring him, and then they told him in front of all the parents what. So yonke le chaos is this guy.
So it was pinned on you.
Yeah, and. That day I said, today. So when after the meeting, it took me to Spare. We went to Spare, we ate. He never mentioned even once.
Wow.
We started talking about music and we ate.
So he just decided, I'm going to show this boy love and forget about all this other nonsense.
I decided on that day that I'm never going to disappoint this man again.
Wow.
And the only thing he said to me, what, you're doing matric, just focus on your studies and pass and leave that place. Pursue whatever you want to pursue.
Wow.
And then that's what actually won me. Connected me to him. So this guy is me playing keyboard in his church is a bonus for him, but he loves me beyond what I do at church. Which is something that I wish pastors can understand. That young man that plays the bass in your church or plays drums in your church, do you know him? Do you know his name? Do you know have you seen his parents? Do you know his siblings? Have you seen where he stays? Or you just see him on Sunday playing the bass guitar or the drum at church? Just go, a step, over that and get to know more about this boy. And because I've seen most of the musicians, especially in churches, most of them come from disadvantaged families. And the only thing they have is the talent to play the instrument, and if you can actually make sure that he's sorted, he's never going to leave you. He's not going to go. I mean, you can come up with any offer for me to leave Court and come and play at your church. I'll just tell you, man, you'll have to do more than that. Can you match this guy? The love over the years, the
consistency.
When I finished my studies, or like when I finished matric, he comes and he asks me, what is it that you want to do? Because I went after matric, I started looking for for a job and ended up working somewhere and I was fine there where I was working. And then he calls me because he could see this thing was frustrating me. I was working shifts and sometimes I'm not available for church. He says, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Okay, I'm okay. I have a family. I had a family by then. I have a family now, but I'm not happy where I am." And he says, "Okay, bring your payslip. Let me see." He looks at the payslip. He says to me, "You know what? Go and resign. Will give you what they're giving you there."
Wow.
I went and resigned. That was 2007, I think.
Wow.
And then after resigning, he says, "Okay, now that you've resigned, you have all the time in the world. What do you want to do?" I said to him, "I want to go study I've always wanted to study for music production." He says, "Go look for the school." I went and looked for the school, came back. He says, "Okay, go apply." They paid for everything, paid for my studies, paid for the flat where I was staying, and also paid me a salary on top of that because I still have a family to take care of. You know, so what offer can you bring that can beat that? You know, so that's what I'm saying. That when you look at your boys in the church, don't just look at them as musicians and
trouble.
Yeah, you know, like when you
almost feels like they are trouble.
There's a chapter in the book where it says musicians are human. Chapter 8. No, it's not chapter 8. Chapter 4. Musicians are human and they have needs too. You know, it's a touchy, you know, chapter because I've spoken to a lot of musicians. I've seen their frustrations, you know, and a lot of them. There's a friend of mine who told me that in his church, he used to do everything. He would wake up in the morning to go set up the sound, you know, collect the sound, set it up, go, you know, refresh, come back, lead the praise and worship, or play the drum, and after church he'll be the last one to leave, you know, collect everything, put everything, and when he did that, you know, like he would do it every Sunday, and then when he had challenges, and then the church was not there for him. You know, I was so saddened, man, because I felt this is what happens to us. People don't know that we come to church early and we are the last ones to leave. We are here coming to rehearse, and
that's why you don't even know all the church members, because when you come, they're not there. When you leave, they're not there. So
like
you don't
get a chance to
socialize.
So, but you know, when God blesses a church with musicians, it's the duty of the church to take care of them. I'm not saying they must pay them. In fact, I addressed such issues on the book because people think, you guys want to be paid to worship God. You want us to pay you to worship God. This topic is very, very well. That's why if a person talks like that, I don't even want to engage them because they don't understand. You know, but you as a pastor, you know, our pastor, even for not me only as you know, because maybe you'll say because you stayed in his house. Even the other guys, I'm reminded of this other time we had a gig and our drummer had another gig that was, you know, clashing with our, you know, when I say gig, the church choir was going to sing somewhere. And then this guy decided to cancel that gig and be available for the church choir. And we were not paying him. And when we came back from that gig, Apostle then spoke to the church management and said, you must put this boy on the church payroll. Because of that sacrifice, you know. So he does that. And the other time I was telling some people that, you know, in our church, when there was a time where we used to work a lot with musicians and be away, you know, because I always communicate with Apostle. It's also in the book, the issue of communicating with your pastor. So I would tell him, Apostle, this coming weekend I have a gig, or this next week or on Sunday there's this happening. And then I remember that we had a gig which was on a Sunday, and we wanted to honor that gig. It was in Emelo. Then I told him, he says, you know what I'll do? I'll change the program. We'll run the program such that the church won't see that you guys are not there. So there won't be any music. I'll be creative such that they don't see. And which pastor can do that for you? You know, because instead of doing that, they'll tell you, you must be committed here.
Committed, especially if you're on staff. Then
we pay you, you know. But you know, I don't even take it as a salary what I'm getting, because I mean, if it was a salary, by now it would be maybe, I don't know, 3-4 times if I was working, you know. But it's still the same amount that I was getting back then, and I'm fine with it, because I don't play because they pay me. I played for 13 years without receiving anything in the church, so, and I was fine. Even if they decide to stop paying me, I will still come and play.
Of course,
you know.
Of course. It's not about
for me, it's just a token of appreciation, you know, that I'm receiving. So. But, you know, for me, the relationship between the pastor and the musician is so important. And if that relationship is strong, because people think, I heard one pastor saying on social media, we don't need you guys. We don't need you guys. We can run the service without musicians. I can use a backtrack. And I'm like, who's going to do the backtrack? Because you need a musician to record that backtrack for you. You know?
I think when it gets to that point, one needs to just back off and not even engage. It means it comes out of anger.
Yeah.
You know, when people are angry, they say things they're not supposed to say.
See, the other thing people don't understand is that, which is also I mentioned in the book, when you see the congregation on Sunday, yes, we know they come because of the pastor, but people are attracted by a lot of things. People are attracted by music, for instance. And which is what I say, talking to the musicians, to say, your service must be unto the Lord.
Yeah.
God knows why he wants you to, or why he gave you the talent that he gave you. And, you find that, and I make an example that when I play in church, I always close my eyes. But sometimes when I open my eyes and I look at the congregation, there'll be that one guy who, like unassuming, sitting somewhere at the back, who will just give me a thumbs up to say, I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And because of that guy, when I'm sitting at home and I'm like, today I don't feel like
it's worth it.
I don't feel like going to church. Then I think about that guy, that this guy is going to miss me. Then I come to. So, like, I'm trying to say, as much as we know that pastors, when people come for the sermon, people are blessed by our ministry also, even before the sermon. It's like we are preparing the ground for him.
Well, some come to try and get married, but anyway.
There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons.
Well, wow. Papandu, I appreciate your time, man. And here's the book.
Hey, this book, I'm going to make it available on digitally very very soon, because it was I only released the hard copies, and people have been complaining, but I know that I wanted to release this so that people can know I have released a book.
Also,
you must see the book.
Get us an audio book, man.
No, definitely we'll do that. Definitely. Wow. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna release the soft copy.
But now, how do they get this one? Because I want them to get this one.
So this one, for now, you get it by order. You can hook up with me on social media, inbox.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try and write your
so
handles.
that people can let me just share or read the some of the chapters in the book.
Cool.
The first one, being a local church musician. What does it mean being a musician in a local church? And then I talk about my local church, my fig tree. So in this chapter is very important, because if you do not understand that the church where God has planted you, you must work there. And I refer to a scripture in the book of Proverbs, which says, if you take care of a fig tree, you shall eat its fruit. So if you take care, and I use my life as an example to say, I took care of my church, my fig tree, and I've benefited a lot from just being part of the church. Today I'm married. Probably I would not be married to my wife if I was not in this church, because I found her in this church. My kids are growing up in this church, and also even when you belong to a big church like this, you meet people. You meet people who are also going to impact you, even your life, even whatever dream or career you want to pursue. There are people that God will put, and you'll find them in a church. So that's the place, that's the fig tree that if you take care of it, people are watching. Me, I was approached by a guy. I'll tell you briefly. I was approached by a guy who said to me, and out of nowhere, this guy says to me, I want to partner with you for some contract that I want to pursue, but I decided I don't want to work with any of my friends or people that I know. I want to work with somebody I do not know. I don't have any relationship with, and I thought about you.
Wow.
Where did this guy see me?
Wow.
And guess what? Through that relationship, I was able to buy the house that I stay in, build the house that I stay in, the cars that I drive, all the things I managed to, to secure. It was because of that relationship with this guy who didn't know me. He saw me in church.
Wow.
So hence I'm saying, if you take care of the fig tree, which is your church, do it as unto the Lord. Don't do it for a person. Don't do it for the pastor or the church leadership, because they'll hurt you, they'll disappoint you, and then you'll end up being angry at God. And if you know I'm doing this thing for God, you know that God will reward you. And,
He will reward you.
And He will definitely reward you. So that chapter, balancing your career with your local church commitment, I talk about being a musician outside of church and active while also still committed. We spoke about the other musicians are human and they have needs too. Your service and labor of love matter. This is the chapter I was talking about, where I say what you do, it matters to God, it matters to the church. It matters because, as I made an example of the guy who would show you thumbs up, it matters to him what you do, And then the chapter, should we pay them or shouldn't we pay them? I talk about that. I also approached a few pastors from around to hear, their side. It's the chapter, the cry of many pastors. So all of them were crying. All of them were crying about musicians. And then I talk about this important one, the church musician and the fierce war in the spiritual realm. This one, I know we don't really, I don't know whether we ignore it. Like, people who like to say, you guys, or the guys that you see on stage, go and check with Bapila Njani. Baba Pil writes, they are drunkards, and they do this and that. You forget that these guys are frontline soldiers. So that the devil, when he targets a church, he targets the pastor, he targets them. And in most cases, the people who complain about the musicians, they don't pray for them. Because it's not only about praying for them. Do you sponsor them spiritually? Do you take it upon yourself to say, this young man, I want him to be my sponsee. I want to take care of him spiritually. I want to phone him every day during the week to check on him. Hey man, what's happening? Encourage him. And then you can then come and claim, I tried to help this young man. He doesn't want to be helped. They don't do that. They just want to point fingers and say, you play the guitar in the church, but you smoke. So that chapter is about that. So I wish people can buy. This book is it's not only meant for musicians. It's not for musicians actually, as much as there are chapters that talk directly to musicians. It's for the entire church. You are because even the church, the congregation, they need to know how to treat us, how to deal with us, and the church leadership, kakulu, they must buy it, but the musicians must buy it, because I talk to them. They must know what the issue. I spoke about your talent. God gives you a talent. I made an example of that parable of a man who called his servants, and he says he gave one guy 1 coin, another guy 2 coins, another guy 5 coins, or whatever, talent or whatever. And he said, and then he went away. And then when he came back, he asked them, and then the guy with 1, he said, hey, mine, ngivele ngayifihla ngoba ngiyakwazi ukuthi wena unjani. Ngayisavela yona, blah blah blah. But my point is on the part where it says he gave each one according to their abilities. Each according to their own ability. So you have, when you have 5, it doesn't mean you are better than me if I have 1. It's according to my ability. I can't handle 5. I can handle 1. You can handle 5. So there's no way I can compete with you, because if you can give me your 5, it will destroy me. You. So like I was addressing the issue of competition, that it's not necessary.
No, it's not.
Because we are gifted differently, and for different purposes. So when you have whatever you have, you must appreciate the next guy. Like I said, I appreciate the singers. That's why I can invite them to sing on my project. I don't mind. I can they can come and do, as long as they're doing it on my project, I'm fine. I told them in Pretoria, I said, you guys, the musicians, if you can't write, come to us, we'll write for you. Not force.
Not forced. Singer, songwriter, producer.
Because now, if we can't sing, and I know a lot of us who can't sing, who are at the forefront trying to sing. But okay, maybe God told them to sing. It's fine.
So my thing is, if you say the Lord said, I back off, because
No,
I was not with you in your secret place.
Exactly.
But I think for this book, you need to run at least a couple of seminars.
No, I'm actually planning to do that next year. So the plan was, it's a pity. Okay, well, not a pity. We released this book in July, and then, but then I was already working towards my recording. So I felt, okay, let me shelve this thing, because when I focus on the book, I don't want. I want to focus on it and travel, and because there's a demand already, even from people. If you check, you'll see that I brought big guns. Some of the pastors who endorsed this book.
Yeah.
It's not small boys. It's serious. Let me just, Pastor Chabu Hlongwane, the Chabu Hlongwane, Bishop Israel Malele, Bishop Robert Casaro, Apostle Professor Maxwell Masakona, Apostle Kolanzo. These are big guns. Already, because these guys have endorsed it, it created that demand. People want to know why did they endorse? Why these big names? So and we're planning to do it next year. I think once I release my album, which is coming out, I'm hoping to release it early next year, maybe February, March.
Okay.
Then from there, I just want to focus on the book and start running around and trying to, get the message across.
To teach.
Well, not really to teach, because I'm also a student. I just want to share. Share my experience.
We'll go with your modesty.
We haven't reached that point where we can, teach. I'm always afraid of being, it's a very big responsibility, because you must be sure that whatever you say, God told you to say those things, because you don't want to mislead people,
Man, thank you once again.
Thank you
for making time.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Last week, on the same day, when you called me and told me, or you sent I can't remember whether you called or you sent a message.
Yeah.
Early that day, I was thinking about you, and I said, why is this guy not inviting me to his... that same day, you sent a message.
Look, man, you'll always be on top of my list. We have history.
Yeah.
I've seen you over the years, so you'll always be on top of my list. Definitely. One day I'll write a book, me writing about you.
Yeah, I know. I would love that.
Yeah, man. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's pleasure and an honor.
Thank you, man. I'm honored. I'm honored.
Wisdom.
I'm honored to sit on this. I don't know. You call it podcast or what? But I'm honored to be part of this. I've watched some of the your guests, some of your interviews you did, and the caliber of guests. So if I'm also on that list, then I'm.
No, you're all the way up there, man. Okay.